Most Christians talk about self-control, like it's willpower. But the Bible describes it as something else entirely, something quieter, something most people skip right over. Let's slow down and actually look at what the text says. Self-control is listed last in Galatians 522-23, the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, and then almost as an afterthought, self-control. But here's what's interesting. The Greek word Paul uses is enkrateia. Enkrateia. It doesn't mean white-knuckling temptation. It means mastery from within, inner strength, the ability to govern yourself not through force, but through alignment. The text isn't talking about suppression. It's talking about sovereignty. Think about that. When you read self-control in English, you picture restraint, holding back, resisting. But the original language suggests something different. The power to direct yourself toward what matters, not away from sin toward God. That distinction changes everything. Let's look at one of the most overlooked spiritual disciplines in Scripture. Silence. Not prayer. Not fasting. Not silence. Psalm 4610. Be still and know that I am God. The Hebrew word for be still is rapha. Rapha. It means to let go, to release, to stop striving. This is not passive waiting. It's active surrender. And here's where it connects to self-control. You can master yourself if you never stop long enough to hear what's driving you. Most people are controlled by noise, opinions, anxiety, the endless inner commentary. Silence is the habit that exposes what's really in control. Jesus modeled this constantly. Before every major decision, he withdrew. Luke 5:16. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Notice the word often. This wasn't occasional. It was rhythmic. He didn't need to escape the crowds because he was weak. He withdrew because he understood something most of us don't. Noise fractures discernment. If you want self-control, you have to build the habit of stepping away from the chaos, even when it feels urgent to stay. Especially then. Section 3. The habit of delayed reaction. Proverbs 15:28. The heart of the righteous weighs its answers, but the mouth of the wicked gushes evil. Let's break that down. The righteous weigh their answers. They don't react, they respond. The wicked gush. No filter. No pause. No pause. This is one of the clearest pictures of self-control in Scripture, and almost no one teaches it as a daily practice. The habit of the pause before you speak, before you text back, before you make the decision. Count to 3. Breathe. Ask one question. Is this aligned with who I'm becoming? Not is this wrong? This wrong, not will I get caught. Does this reflect the person God is shaping me into? James 1:19 backs this up. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Slow to speak, that's not a personality trait. It's a trained response. The world teaches you to react fast, clap back, defend. Prove your point immediately. But Scripture teaches the opposite. Speed is the enemy of wisdom. Self-control isn't about never feeling the impulse. It's about creating space between the impulse and the action. That space is sacred. Section 4. The habit of fasting. Not just from food. Fasting shows up everywhere in Scripture. Moses, Samathos. Elijah, Elia, Daniel. Daniel, Jesus. Fasting isn't about impressing God. It's about training yourself to say no to something good, so you can say yes to something greater. That's the core of self-control. Jesus fasted for 40 days before his ministry began. Not because he was trying to lose weight, not because food is evil. He fasted to prove to himself and to the enemy that his body didn't control him. Matthew 4:4 Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. He was resetting his hierarchy. Spirit over flesh. Eternal over immediate. Now here's where this gets practical. You don't have to fast from food to practice this. Fast from your phone for 2 hours. Fast from complaining for a day. fast from defending yourself in an argument. Every time you deny a legitimate desire for a higher purpose, you're building the muscle of self-control. You're proving to yourself, I am not ruled by impulse. And that proof compounds. Section 5, the habit of custody of the eyes. Job 31, verse 1. I made a covenant with my eyes, not to look lustfully at a young woman. Job did not wait until he was tempted. He made a decision in advance. That's the key. Self-control instead of reaction is a pre-decision. Most people try to resist in the moment, but by then the battle is already half lost. Job set a boundary before the test came. This applies to everything. What you watch, what you scroll, what you allow your mind to replay. Custody of the eyes isn't about legalism. It's about intentional exposure. Because what you feed your eyes, you feed your heart. And what you feed your heart eventually controls your hands. Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guard not hope. It turns out okay. Not trying your best. Guard, that's an active military term. You wouldn't leave your front door open in a dangerous neighborhood. Hope nothing bad happens. So why do we leave our eyes, our ears, our attention wide open to everything and expect our hearts to stay pure? The habit here is simple. Decide in advance what you will not look at. Write it down if you have to. Not as a rule, as a covenant between you and God. Section 6, the habit of accountability, the forgotten safeguard. Ecclesiastes 4:9 through 10:2 are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Here is a hard truth: you will not sustain self-control alone. You might start strong. You might have a great week, but isolation is where discipline dies. The early church understood this. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship. Fellowship wasn't optional, because accountability isn't about someone watching you to catch you failing. It's about someone walking with you so you don't have to fight alone. Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Self-control is sharpened in relationship. Find one person, not a crowd. One person who will ask you the hard questions. Did you do what you said you would do? Are you still walking in integrity? What are you avoiding? And give them permission to push back, not to shame you, to sharpen you. This is one of the most underused habits in modern Christianity. We have privatized faith, made it individual, personal. But Scripture never intended self-control to be a solo mission. So let us bring it all together. Self-control is not about trying harder. It's about training smarter. 5 habits. 1 silence to hear what's really driving you. 2. The pause to create space between impulse and action. 3. Fasting to prove your spirit leads not your flesh. 4. Custody of the eyes, to guard what enters your heart. 5. Accountability to sharpen your discipline in relationship. These aren't rules, they're rhythms, and rhythms over time become identity. The Bible does not call self-control a work of the Spirit. It calls it a fruit. Fruit does not grow by force. It grows by root. When you stay rooted in these habits quietly, consistently, the fruit shows up, not overnight, but inevitably. So here is my challenge. Pick one, not all 5. 1. This week, practice it. Maybe it's 2 hours of silence. Maybe it's the 3-second pause before you reply. Maybe it's fasting from your phone after 8 p.m. Just one, and watch what shifts. Because self-control isn't loud, it's not flashy, but it's one of the most powerful forces in the spiritual life. And it starts with a choice, a quiet one, made today.